All right, I've been waiting for probably about a month and a half for this to arrive. It's coming from China. You can see the box here, so excited to unbox this in a little bit. So you're probably here today because I just bought this. And no, I didn't just get a giant box, but this is the box in which my new steering wheel for my B9 Audi S5 is in. It is a carbon fiber flat bottom steering wheel. Now, a couple months ago, I was on the Audi USA Facebook group, and there was a post from a group out of China saying that they made custom carbon fiber steering wheels for the Audi platform. They make it for other platforms as well, but they were advertising for the Audi platform. In addition, they also make custom airbag covers. Now, I have a flat bottom steering wheel, but I do like carbon fiber, so I thought this would be a good upgrade. And I also really wanted to change out the airbag cover for my car. Now, they have completed the steering wheel. They haven't completed the airbag cover yet, but they've shipped me the steering wheel, and they've also shipped me the Urus paddles from a Lamborghini that can fit into the Audi B9 platform, so I have those as well. The shifters that come on the Audi 2020 Audi S5 are super tiny. They make some that can stick on, but I really wanted to have something that was more integrated rather than something that sticks onto the back, so those should theoretically be in this box as well. Now, I'm sure like me, you are probably skeptical about random people posting in Facebook groups that they can do something for almost half the cost of what I could buy it for on a regular US website. And I was skeptical as well. Initially, I was like, this has to be a scam. Initially clicked on the profile of the person that posted it, and there was really nothing there. But then I found the profile for the actual business, and there was some reviews from other folks in the US that had done this, and they had had a good experience. So I said, okay, let me take a shot at it. Now, this isn't cheap. I think everything total is probably around $500-ish, so it's not cheap to do this. But when you compare that to $800 or $1,000 or more dollars to get something similar from a website here in the US, this was significantly cheaper. Now, the difference is it's taken about 2 months for me to even get to this point, whereas I could go and buy something probably and have it within a week from one of the US websites. So hopefully what's in this box is a carbon fiber steering wheel and some Lamborghini Urus paddles and not just a bunch of foam. And if so, my plan is to also show you how to install the steering wheel and remove the old steering wheel at the same time. All right, let's try to open this thing. Oh, wow. It's very nicely wrapped. Okay, at first we have the paddles. So these are carbon fiber as well, as you can see. And they have the electronics snapped onto the back. So this is the plus side here. Minus. Let's take out the steering wheel itself. They've packaged it really well. They have it sitting here in foam, so it doesn't really move around. It's little pieces of foam wedged over here as well. Awesome. I'll throw this down to the ground here. As you can see here how it's machined out. This is where it snaps in. And this is the opening here for the paddles. Let's take this off. So you can see it looks really nice. So it actually comes with the ring as well, which I always thought I may have to reuse mine, but I'll have to pop that out. You can see I got this this gray marker here for the center position, which is really neat. It is stitched really well with gray stitching wrapped around. Has good heft to it. It looks really fantastic. I am really impressed. Carbon fiber looks really good, high quality. So I'm excited to go and test this out to get this put onto the car. I'll have the other one removed and I'll probably bring it back in here to do some work on it on the table so I can kind of show how we're going to swap things over. But yeah, so far I'm really impressed with this. I mean, I don't imagine that they are much better than this when you buy them from the US. So we'll see when I get it on and get the other one off and compare the quality of the two. But so far I'm pretty happy with how this has turned out. Okay, so I'm here in the car and I need to take off the steering wheel. And in order to take off the steering wheel, I have to take off the airbag. And that's probably the most difficult part of this job. I've watched a few videos on this and every single person has struggled with this airbag removal. There's been a couple folks that do it quickly, but some folks have said it's taken them a while to do this. So I'm gonna show you how to remove the airbag. Now I'm gonna show you where it is first, and then I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect the negative battery terminal so this thing doesn't explode in my face. So here's what I would recommend. I would recommend turning the car on just to make it easier to turn the steering wheel. The radio just came on here. And you'll see here, there's that one hole. So there's a hole here. And then on the other side, there's another hole, right? You don't want to do this with the car on, obviously. So once I kind of have the steering wheel upside down, I'll turn the car off, and that'll allow me to kind of wiggle the steering wheel a little bit to get to those holes. Now, you want a small flathead screwdriver, and this one actually may be a little too small, but you're gonna basically go into this opening and you're gonna try to feel it, kind of a couple different clicks here, and you're gonna try to pry it up to release it. I've heard you have to pry really hard to do this, and so I'm gonna do that. What is inside, and I'll be able to show this once it's off, but there's a spring, and that spring, once you pry it, it releases a set of clips that will pop this airbag so you can take it off. Of course, it's dangerous because airbags can explode if they have the right voltage, which is why I'm going to disconnect the negative battery terminal now that I have the steering wheel upside down. So the battery is located, I believe, underneath the spare tire. So I'm going to take the spare tire out, and then once that is out, I should have access to the battery. There it is. Okay. Okay, and then this is the negative terminal here. So I think you need a 10mm to disconnect this. So I'm gonna go grab a 10mm and get this disconnected. Okay, so I'm in the car and I'm gonna take off this airbag cover here. I've disconnected the negative battery terminal, so there's none of the lights or any other things are working. And I'm gonna use a small flathead screwdriver to try to do this. I've used this before when I did the carbon fiber steering wheel. I used it to take the airbag cover off. Depending on when you're watching this, you may be wondering, like, well, you're taking it off and the carbon fiber steering wheel is already on. That's because right now I'm actually taking this off in order to put on a new airbag cover. So I'm just gonna show you how I did it. So you should see two small holes back here. You're probably seeing one right now. If I turn it this way, you're seeing this hole here. And then if I turn it the other way, you'll see the other hole here. Keep turning here so you can see it, right? There's some springs inside and you'll need to release those springs. All right. Okay, so we got one side. It's pretty easy. Once you know how to do it, what I did was I went in, I kind of moved out one to, you'll feel like 3 grooves if you get to the second groove here, and then you push in and pull up and you'll feel it release. Now we're gonna do it on the other side. There we go, okay? I'm gonna do this here again. Push it to the top, slide it in, feel that second groove, pull down. See, did it go? Nope, not quite. There we go. Okay, so now you should see here that it's fully released. It's completely separated here. I can pull it out. Now, the best thing to do is to rotate it, if you can, all the way back to the top. Now, once you have it rotated back to the top, you should see that green clip in there. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, so you'll want to have something to use to take that. I have these little picks here to pull that green clip out, so I'm just gonna grab one of these, one of the thicker ones. You can use any kind of pick. See if I can finagle it in there. Okay, release that. So now that the green clip's released, you should be able to pull. Okay, so now I'm just gonna try to go in and remove this yellow connector. Pull on it. Okay. All right, so the yellow connector is released. Now inside here is another connector that's kind of seated in this housing, so you'll pull that out. So this one's a little bit trickier to remove. I can tell you from the last time I did it. There's a little clip in here. Not sure if you're seeing that, but you have to kind of get under there. So I'm gonna try this pick again. I don't want to pull on the wires. I just want to pull on the connector piece, so this one is a little bit harder. So I'm going to try just some different things until I get it working. There we go. Just slide it a little bit. There we are. Okay, so now it is disconnected, and you can see here, if I turn it this way, these are the two. Let's make sure you guys are seeing this here. These are the two springs that you're trying to compress in order to release it, okay? The airbag is out now. I'm just gonna set it aside gently over here and move on to the next part. And that is taking the steering wheel off itself. And you're gonna do that with this center bolt here, and I think it's an M12. All right, so I'm gonna try to do this M12 with socket wrench and holding the steering wheel, which is the hard part. Okay, there we go. All right, let me switch back over to this guy here. And I'll get it the rest of the way with this. Okay. All right, so the other thing to note is you should see here the marking, right? There's a marking, so there's a marking here and here, and that's where it aligns to the steering column. Okay, so hopefully my new steering wheel has that as well, but that should be how it aligns to allow you to be able to know how to make sure that it's dead center when you put it back on. So from there, it should just pop right off. And there we go. Here's the steering wheel. See here on the back, and you can see all of these buttons. So I need to swap all of this stuff here over, which I'm gonna actually take it upstairs to the office to do that work. There's a lot of really nasty clips in here. So you're gonna need some plastic pry tools, some force, and a ton of patience. My new one did come with a new plastic clip, so it does give me a little bit of comfort knowing that I do have a second one of these, but I have to take it all out so I can get to all of these buttons and other things that are underneath. So now that it's out, we're gonna move on to the next step. Okay, I'm here with both steering wheels, and you can see kind of the difference between the two here. They both have this perforated leather. This one has a darker gray stitching, but the stitching is quite close. Just the pattern is a little different. This is a lighter or a thinner stitching. And you can see that the main difference is obviously the carbon fiber on the top and the bottom, along with this gray stripe that goes along it. One of the things that I didn't show you guys also maybe yesterday is that I had them cut or mold grooves in. They're like finger grooves, so you can, when you put your fingers behind it, they kind of slot right in there, which is really nice. It just feels really premium. Of course, the rest of it on the inside is pretty much identical. The other thing that's different, obviously, is the paddle shifters. And you can see just from this top-down angle as well, the paddle shifters, the normal ones that come on the S5 steering wheel, are almost invisible. You can't see them from the front. You can maybe just see the tops of them here. But these Euro-style paddles, carbon fiber ones, are super visible. And so that's one of the things I wanted to, specifically for track days, as you're turning the steering wheel, your fingers sometimes come off a little bit, even though you're trying not to. It's just much easier to reach these other ones. And I just like the way they look. The fact that you can see them, you know there's paddle shifters there. So what I need to do now, and what's probably gonna take me quite some time, is I have to kind of undo the this metal bracket, or sorry, the plastic bracket here. There's a bunch of these little clips underneath it. I don't know if you can see all those little clips there. I need to kind of get those undone on both of these because I need to swap out all of the buttons from here over to here. I wish I could do that without taking this off, but I can't. The other thing that I like, and I don't know if this is gonna stay that way or how they cut it here, but there's no this little metal trim that goes around it. So we'll see if they just fit in perfectly or not. Obviously, there's also wiring behind this that I'll need to slot in here. And there might be at least one screw. No, these look like they are compression fit on the paddle shifters, so I don't think there's any screws here. So we'll just double check to see if the other ones are the same. But this is just going to be mostly a tedious set of work with pry tools. I have ones for the car. I also have this set that I bought off of Amazon that's more for like laptop repair and stuff, and it has a bunch of tiny ones. And I'm going to try to use these, which might be a little bit easier than the larger ones that are kind of for dash trim and that kind of thing. But this is just not going to be one of those fun things to do. It's just going to take time and it's going to be tedious. So I might have some time lapse of it, but other than that, I'll come back at the end and tell you kind of where I struggled and kind of any tips and tricks I found while doing this. Okay, so I'm not even close to being done yet, but I just want to stop and show you. I was able to get the edges pried up, and what I did there is I just took the pry tool. I'm using the bigger pry tools, put it in here, and then just pried, and it popped out on the edge. So that's the first piece I've gotten out. I've been working on all of it, and I've made zero progress other than that so far. But I think it's probably a good place to start. I'm just going to kind of keep going around and seeing. Now, everybody I've seen do this on the internet, they had to pull pretty hard. So I'm going to do the same. Oh, actually, it looks like it's coming here. Hey, look. Oh, look at that. Nice. Okay. Well, you guys might actually watch me do this. It's like that little edge there is the key first off. Just trying to get the pry tool in here. Just pull around. Oh. Hey, look, there it goes. Lucky, lucky, and didn't pull or break anything. Unclip those with your fingernails. Man, you guys got this on video. Okay, so that's two. All right, there's a couple more things under here. I don't know if you can see, there's like these white things. I'm not sure what they're for. Or these are for the buttons themselves. That's one. Another clip here, two. And we're out. Pretty awesome. So that's out. I'm going to take a look at this one. So they are identical. The only difference is this silver trim here around this piece. Okay, so I did pop the buttons out, and the silver trim is around and attached to the button housing, so there's no way to remove that. So the one that I got from the company that I ordered this from and the one that's coming out of my car are literally identical. So I'm not going to pop the other one out. I'm actually just going to slide this back in, and hopefully it slides in pretty easily here. It's just some clips just to give it a little space. There we go. Oh, no, didn't get it. Let's see. There we go. Oh, I got one side. Make sure all of them are snapped in. There we go. So I'm just going to swap this over to, love the sound, swap this over to the new steering wheel. So let me grab the new steering wheel. Okay, so I'm back. The one other thing that you need to do, this is the old steering wheel here. Let me put this down. The wiring for the buttons here needs to be pulled out of these grooves. So you just kind of pull it up. Should come out right of this slot. There you go. And then you'll just need to transfer that into the new steering wheel. So there's a groove here in this new steering wheel for it as well. Just make sure that we transfer it properly. Just kind of shove it down in there, and there's some clips here that it goes in between. So just play with it until you get it and get it nice and snug. Actually, if you go from the top and slide down, it actually is a little bit easier. Just kind of pull it up for the top here and then slide it down into the gap. That actually works a little bit better. All right. The paddle shifters are going to plug into this little hole here. And then all of the button controls go into the big one up top. Okay, awesome. All right, so we are all hooked up. So now it's just a matter of making sure everything slots into the right grooves. Everything looks like it's well aligned. Just kind of push it down in all the different places here. Don't do one side too much and one side not enough. Just keep cinching it down until everything's nice and locked in. Whoop. Starting to hear clicks. Is that good? Is that where it's supposed to be? Or did I get that in the wrong place here? I might have had that pinched a little bit in the wrong place. I'm going to pull this back out a little bit. Oopsie. Did I disconnect anything? Oh no. Okay, steering wheel is finally put together, and let me tell you, that was a saga, and it was all my fault, right? So when I was initially putting this plastic piece back in with all the buttons, I thought I was crimping this cable that goes to the airbag a little too much, and I pulled it out and I broke one of the small tiny connectors. I don't know if you can see that hooks into the negative paddle shifter, or the downshifter, the minus. And so I was like trying to rewire it, and it is unbelievably hard to find this. This is a JST, I believe, GH 1.25 millimeter 3-pin connector. I had to post on the Audi A5 Facebook group, did a bunch of research, finally found one, and I ordered on Amazon. It'll get here tomorrow, but what I decided is I would try to remove the connector from my old one. So hopefully this works, because what I've done is I've taken the little white connector here off of the existing minus that is on my current steering wheel. I was trying to just swap these out, and I couldn't just swap the wire out, because the connector on the other side is different, of course. So needless to say, I think it's good. Everything fits really nice and tight. It takes a little bit of finagling to get everything back in. You got to make sure you snap these sides in and route the wires and push it in, but it'll go back in after a while. And it sits really nice and flush. So they did a really good job building it. Now, hopefully when I hook everything back up, I can still downshift. So that'll be really bad if on my track day, that is in 2 days, I can't use my paddle shifters. So I'm gonna go back downstairs now to the car and hook everything back up and see what happens. Okay, so we're back in the car, and we're gonna hook the steering wheel back up here and get everything reconnected. So you can see it's all hooked in, ready to go. You can see the notch here. Hopefully you can see that. I know it's pretty dark in the car. I'm sorry about that. But you're gonna try to line those two things up there. I'll try to do that again. Just make sure I'm right lined up, just until I feel comfortable. Okay, that looks right. Okay, back here, and I got some blue thread locker here on this. So I'm just gonna hand tighten this in here to start off with. There we go. All right, just gonna get it started. Grab this here. And you're gonna need to tighten this down to 50 Newton meters. So I'm gonna hand tighten this, just make sure it's good. I have this set to 50 Newton meters. Okay, all right, I'm gonna release this and pull it back out, lower it as far as I can. Try to get my legs in here. All right, there we go. Okay, so that's down 50 Newton meters. So let's get this back in here. I'm gonna route this again. Plug this back in here. Even I'm struggling to see. There we go. And then we're gonna hook this back in up top. This yellow clip here. The green part faces up. So clip that in and then push the green part in. Make sure that's nice and secure and snug. Yep, okay, good. And then from there, you can just kind of clip the bag back in. You should hear it click. There you go, clicked and nice. And there we are. Now, when you turn the car back on, it's gonna be pretty mad. So you're gonna get a bunch of errors, but it looks fantastic. I cannot wait to get the new bag, because that's really gonna finish this off. This bag just looks so out of place. The airbag cover here just looks so out of place now with this steering wheel. but man, that looks amazing. So excited for the new airbag cover. I will get a chance to test this out. Let's see here. Yeah. So I will get a chance to test out these new paddle shifters when I go to the track this week. They're nice and snug in here. And yeah, super excited, super excited. Okay, so the last thing is you need to hook the battery back up. So I'm gonna do that and then we'll turn it on. Okay, so we're back here in the car and we're gonna go ahead and start it up. Let's just actually turn it on first. Okay, things pop up here, lots of lights, but I think that's normal. Okay, let's go ahead and turn it on. Drive system active. Please switch ignition. Switch off the ignition. Drive system active. Please switch off the ignition. I don't know what that means. I did hear that you would get some initial warnings and then they would kind of clear themselves. So I'm going to go ahead and take this on a drive and we're going to see how it goes. Hopefully I get out of the driveway okay. They're working. It looks amazing. The paddle shifters feel really good. They click really well. Right? They're quiet, but there's a definitive click and give back. So it's not, you know, mushy. And they just look fantastic. Thanks again for tuning into SH Auto. I appreciate every like, subscribe, and comment here on the channel. So please leave a comment below. Let me know what other things you'd like to see me do. I have a track day coming up actually in 2 days, so I was excited to get this steering wheel done. I'll be going back to Barber Motorsports Park for my second track day there, and really looking forward to driving the car with the new paddle shifters and with the new steering wheel. I'll also be installing the new airbag cover here soon. It's already been shipped from China, so I expect to receive it in the next 8 to 10 days or so. And then I will do a video on how to swap that out. That will be a little bit of a nerve-wracking experience, obviously, because I don't want it to explode on me. Anyway, thanks again, and have a good one. Bye.